little stiff today because I just started coaching track again, and I'm out there running with the kids myself, and I'm definitely feeling it, but it's all good. I don't mind a little soreness. So in this video, as I stretch, I actually wanted to talk about essentially what happens if you don't stretch, if you don't, maintain some level of flexibility. And hopefully it'll help you to kind of even more so consider staying consistent with stretching or starting to stretch altogether. So think about this. Now, I say off the top that being ultra flexible, it's not a requirement. It's not a requirement to be flexible, like ultra flexible, like gymnast, or even not necessarily that much, but even some lesser amounts than that. It's not required to be ultra flexible. However, being flexible to some degree as you age is very, very important, because you got to think about some things. So, for example, in society today, especially Western society, but really all of them, sitting in chairs is something that is just the norm. It kind of is what it is. But if you notice, some other countries, people don't sit as much in chairs, they squat. That's kind of like they're sitting, they do a deep squat, like all the way down to the point like that the back of their thighs are touching their calves. And they'll kind of do things, maybe eat like that or just kind of chill out like that. When you sit down in a chair, what happens is it has a tendency to stretch your hip flexors. Now, I'm glad I'm talking about that now, because literally this, I shouldn't say that it stretches your hip flexors, it shortens them. Literally the stretch I'm doing now is a hip flexor stretch. And so the hip flexor runs from your knee inside your thigh and connects on your pelvis, and it helps to lift your leg up. Okay, it helps to lift your leg up. And when you get those, when those are shortened, it tends to make it harder for you to do a lot of things. For example, it makes it harder for you to lift up your legs, up straight, and you just have to kind of think about the various implications of that. That could be something that comes in handy whenever it comes to going upstairs, or anything, again, for that matter, even just walking in general. Anything where you have to lift your leg up, when those get tight, it can affect that. But not only that, when those shorten up, it actually can kind of pull your pelvis out of alignment as well. And it could lead to back pain and different things like that, because there's a whole lot of intricate musculature that kind of helps to keep your back in the right kind of posture. And so we do all these hours of sitting down, we're like shortening those hip flexors, and we can kind of cause excessive, I think it's called lordosis of your lower spine, and just kind of make it harder for us to kind of do even stuff like walking. Same thing happens to your hamstrings. Your hamstrings also get a lot shorter. Hamstrings run behind your thigh. That's the standing and reaching down stretch. And hamstrings, a lot of times those they're easy to pull. Like if you go back into like into physical activity and your hamstrings are tight, a lot of times those will pull first, like especially if you're doing some sort of dynamic, something that involves jumping or running. So a lot of times people end up giving that kind of stuff up because they're like, well, I don't want to pull a muscle, or I did that and I pulled a muscle, so I'm not doing it anymore. And so it kind of contributes to your premature aging. Another thing, if you don't stretch, for example, like your upper body, your chest, what happens is, you notice a lot of older people will get this kind of like a humpback, where the shoulders pull forward, the neck kind of goes down. You know, where people get to the point where they can't really even look up very well. I think that's called kyphosis, I think. Ouch. But anyhow, you know, you develop that posture and can't, you know, a lot of older people you see, they can't seem to get out of that posture. It's like a permanent thing. And so, you know, just think about the effect that has on one's quality of life, that you can't really look up and, you know, your back is almost permanently bent over. Then that happens over time. And so what typically happens is we tend to use the front of our torso, like our chest and all that, more than the back. And so we tend to have very weak backs and very tight fronts. And so what happens is over time, you know, those tight front muscles pull more, and they pull those weak back muscles, and then that over time affects how your bone structure is. So that's another consequence. And then you can even also talk about the bad effects of, you know, not keeping your neck in proper alignment, you know, especially in this day and age when we have all these electronic devices that we're looking at, bending our necks over. If you don't stretch that back out and even use some strengthening for your neck, appropriate, of course, because you don't want to mess your neck up. But if you don't do those kind of things, then that can cause a lot of neurological issues, because your neck being out of alignment can kind of compress your spinal cord in some ways, and that's not good news. So anyhow, those are like just a few things. Excuse me, I'm trying to get it stretching. So those are just a few things that can happen negatively without a good stretching routine. Now, it's boring. It's kind of boring. I actually don't necessarily mind it though. I don't mind boring stuff sometimes because it kind of gives you a chance to think, to kind of decompress from everything going on. That's why sometimes I don't record this, because, you know, sometimes I just need to be by myself, especially with the world the way it is today. Well, even aside from that, it's just always good to think. It doesn't matter what's going on, no matter who you are. But stretching is a valuable thing. It's not as glamorous as stuff that builds or tones your muscles or stuff that gets you lean, but it's very, very important. It's very important, and I've also found, as one who's actually very active, I've also found that it helps me to prevent injuring myself, especially with my hamstrings, the back of my thighs. So anyhow, I say that to say, you know, the benefits of stretching definitely outweigh the fact that it takes some time. But, you know, one thing that I learned, and it's cliche, but one thing that I did learn some time ago is a thing that I started to hear a lot of people say, which is stuff that's valuable actually takes time. It takes a sacrifice, but like it's worth it. It's worth it. Things that are valuable actually they require a sacrifice. They take time, they take effort. And so you just have to be willing to invest that time, that effort or whatever to get that return, you know? And just the truth is, when we're not willing to do that, then we just have to kind of understand that we're essentially kind of signifying that we're okay with the consequences of not doing it. Now, you could go without stretching, you know. There may be some forms of exercise that are more beneficial, but stretching in and of itself is uniquely beneficial in kind of helping you to stay limber and stay mobile, keep your posture good, keep your spine and your neck aligned, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I highly recommend that you do this. It's also good for decompressing at the end of the day. That's why, like I said, sometimes I don't record this because, you know, when you stretch, taking deep breaths actually is a good idea. And I can't necessarily do that whenever I'm talking to the camera, so that's why sometimes you'll see me record these videos and then sometimes you won't see me record them. But I hope you're stretching. I hope you're stretching. I hope you're taking the time to take care of yourself, that you're making investments in your health and not just going and always making withdrawals by eating a lot of bad food and going to bed too late and, you know, drinking soda all the time, all that stuff. Anyway, y'all, let me go ahead and get off of here. Um, y'all take care. As we get older, it becomes increasingly important to maintain and build muscle. Muscle helps you burn fat, stay mobile, and can contribute to longevity. However, many people have no idea how to work out to build muscle. My mini workout series on Patreon provides you with my body weight mini workout video library. These workouts use little to no equipment, which means that you can do them in the privacy of your own home. They start at beginner level and progress from there to ensure you continue to see results. Every workout is a full body workout, hitting chest, back, legs, and glutes, as well as other muscles in between. Become a patron today and receive access to my series of mini workouts, plus access to a digital copy of my book, 8 Weeks to Transform Your Diet and Your Health. By combining the workouts with healthy diet changes, as outlined in my book, you'll definitely be on your way to weight loss, improved health, and visible results. Join me at patreon.com/SeanB2B Fitness today.